Hey, we're out here on the range with Jessie Harrison from Team Taurus. Jessie, the TX22 competition, I mean, you guys had the TX22, so tell us about that gun and now where we are with this one.
So, like you said, we started with the standard TX22, and that's probably one of my favorite platforms out of all of the Taurus lineup. But as soon as I saw it, being a competitive shooter, the first thought I had was, how can we get an optic on this gun and make this a competition-ready firearm, which is something we've never done before.
Yeah.
So our engineers got busy, and this was the result of my input asking for an optic on top. And what they've done is they've put the optic directly on the barrel. So that's the first thing you're going to notice, the difference between the two.
Yep. I mean, you go, okay, so the TX22, it's basically, to me, I would say it's a big full-size semi-automatic 22.
Yep.
So easy to shoot, fun to shoot.
Very easy to shoot. It's great for beginners. You can take it into competition, or you can use it as a trainer gun, or it's just fun to take out and plink with. And that's the same with the competition model. You don't necessarily have to shoot it in competition. This gun is still fun to take out to the range for kids, again, for beginner shooters, or if someone's wanting to learn how to transition from iron sights to an optic, this is a great trainer gun for that.
So right off the bat, you go, wait a minute, you didn't just drill into the slide here.
Correct.
The optic is mounted to the barrel, so how'd you do that? Why'd you do it?
So the reasoning for that is, one, the slide on the 22s are so light, you don't want to interfere with the cycling of the gun. So to mount an optic on the slide, one, there's not a whole lot of material, and we just didn't want to mess with the cycling of the firearm. It was running so well. As you add weight, it changes everything. The balance is off, and we wanted it to be universal for as many optic brands out there. And if you notice, there's not a whole lot of room to accommodate for different footprints.
Okay.
So what the engineers decided is, we're going to cut the slide, and it's going to cycle around the optic, and we're going to mount the optic directly to the barrel. And another advantage that that's going to give you is now putting the optic lower to the axis of the bore. So that's going to help with when you're acquiring the sights, instead of having the optic mounted on top of the slide with a plate, a riser, however you have it, you're now that much higher over axis of bore, so it's a little bit harder to pick up the red dot when you're trying to learn how to shoot a red dot.
Right.
So having it lower, it's more in line with if you were just to look down the slide at iron sights, it's a little bit closer to that familiar scene.
For those shooters, they're used to that, that motion of looking down the barrel, and now the dot is lower.
Correct.
Okay.
And having it mounted to the barrel, you're not going to see any sight movement as the sight cycles when it's mounted to the slide.
Right.
Which is an advantage as well. With 22, there's not a lot of recoil, so that's not as big of an issue, but moving forward with future platforms, having something mounted to the barrel is always going to be more stable and a better sight picture, so that your dot's not leaving the lens on recoil as opposed to having it on the slide.
Yeah, I mean, because in most guns, the
and that's
optic
about the recoil of 22
running
anyway.
back and forth, right?
Correct.
I mean, you don't have that.
You can see it, You can see it as it's moving. It's very fast, but you can see that visually, and you see more of the dot leaving the lens, so you get faster sight acquisitions having it mounted to the barrel, because you're not getting as much movement out of the sight.
Very cool. Okay, so we got some steel targets set up.
Yes.
Well, let's run a couple drills and mess around with it.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Jessie, I mean, this is called the TX22 competition.
Yep.
So this is kind of a little fakey steel competition thing we got set up.
It is. So like I said before, I use this gun in Steel Challenge. But what we have set up today is just some steel plates, not necessarily a stage, but this is just for fun. So to start, let's just do one on each, left to right. That way you can feel the gun, get behind it, and then we'll change things up and play around a little bit.
All right, sounds good.
All right,
you go first.
We ready? I'm gonna go hot. All right, everybody ready? There we go.
All right.
Your turn.
My turn. Let's see, dots on. All right, start with a low ready, right?
Correct.
Okay. Yes, very fun.
Isn't that fun?
22s.
This is my favorite.
Okay, and I mean, big full-size gun, easy to shoot.
It's extremely easy to shoot, and like I said, for someone who's learning to shoot for the first time, having a red dot is such an advantage because you no longer have to introduce a rear sight, front sight, and target in the 3 focal planes that you have to align and sync up all at the same time. It's very overwhelming and it's a lot to learn. So having a red dot, the only thing they have to comprehend is if you see the red dot through the lens, put the red dot on target.
Yeah.
So much easier.
Now you have a pretty interesting way of doing the mounting plates. So any optic will work.
Yeah, almost. The majority of the optics are going to work, and with the plates that we have, one, they have a very thin profile, so it's not adding any height to the sight. But each firearm will come with 2 different mounting plates, and you can flip, rotate the plates to match up the screw holes for the footprint of the optic you have.
Gotcha.
So it's going to fit majority of optics out there. That way you're not limited to the optic you can put on here. They really made it as universal as possible.
Yeah, and looking at the list of the optics that it'll fit, it's a bunch of them.
It is. It's majority.
Now, bull barrel on here, and it's threaded.
Absolutely. So that's another thing that you might not notice right away, but this is a 5-inch bull barrel, and that's going to give us a thicker radius than on the standard TX22. And with that, we have the threaded barrel. For competition, you can add a compensator if you wish, but for funsies, you can add a can onto the end of your 22 as well.
Let's shoot that.
I think we should.
All right. Hey, big gun.
Got a can?
Let's make it bigger.
Let's do it. Let it
22s
rip.
and cans. Fun. I mean, 22s aren't allowed anyway, but
I know.
why not?
It just makes it fun.
Yeah. All right, so the TX22 competition, what else comes with this gun?
So you're going to get a little bit better presentation when you receive your gun and open it. It's going to come in a hard-sided case with Taurus logo. You're going to get 3 16-round magazines, and inside the gun case it's laser cut foam, so it fits the gun with the optic. You got magazine slots, so it's just it feels like a nicer presentation, and you're completely range ready.
Range ready, I like it. This is one you're going to want to get to the range and use a lot of ammo.